I call this look, whoa, wasn't expecting that much eyeshadow to be on the brush. But we're in this now. It's time for Stories I Ate This Month.
Off the hook, but the phone never rang. Beast on the beats, no claws, no fangs.
It's March. It's the middle of March. I watched a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of movies. I watched a lot of shows. And I read 2 books. Let's do this.
Bring your crew, invite the whole gang.
The first book I finished was our February BOOKSPLOSION book of the month, Who Can Keep a Secret by Karen McManus. This month we were working with Random House. If you haven't read Karen McManus's books before, she writes these really fun suspense thrillers with really great, well-developed characters. In Who Can Keep a Secret, we follow Ellery, who's being forced to go live with her grandmother. She's from California, and she needs to go live with her grandmother in Vermont, in this small town called Echo Ridge that her mother grew up in, and her mother left at the first possible moment she could. Ellery's aunt went missing from this town way back when during homecoming and was never found. And then 5 years ago, a girl was murdered in this town. And now Ellery's living in this town. Suspicious things are cropping up everywhere, and she has taken it upon herself to find out what the deal is with the suspicious things. Karen McManus does a great job building the suspense in this book. I did not guess the end. I wish it went a little darker, but I understand. I think she was trying to keep it PG-13. But it was very well set up. I really enjoyed this cast of characters, and I really enjoyed the anticipation. I love not knowing who the culprit is until the book reveals it. That's the best. And that's what I got here. I read this and did the audiobook. I was switching off. The audiobook is good as well. If you don't know, I'm an Audible affiliate. If you use my link in the description below, you get your first book for free. Next! I saw a lot of movies this month. I don't even know where to start. I saw Captain Marvel yesterday, so I think I'm going to start there. Let's talk about Captain Marvel. I have been unbelievably excited about Captain Marvel since I learned that Captain Marvel was a thing and that Brie Larson was going to play her, because Brie Larson's amazing. I was just so pumped for this movie, and I came out of it disappointed, and I wanted to love it so much, and I'm so sad that I'm disappointed. I think Brie Larson is great as this character. I just didn't like the way they took the story. Like, she didn't get an origin story. I'm very upset about it, because every single other character in the history of hero movies has got an origin story. The only time we've been able to successfully not do an origin story is Spider-Man Homecoming, and this is because there's been like 50,000 Spider-Man movies, especially in the past 10 years. It's nothing new. Captain Marvel has never been in film. We've never seen her. I knew nothing about her. And I came out of the movie feeling like I know so little about her as a person. I don't know her as a vulnerable human being that I can relate to. I'd give the movie a B. It wasn't a bad movie. If they had just done this like 5 years ago, we would have gotten an origin story. They did a million other superhero movies first. Like, why did we need Ant-Man before we had Captain Marvel? This takes place in 1995. We gave Ant-Man his origin story. I guess you could argue Ant-Man didn't have an origin story. Ant-Man was like the second Ant-Man or something. We still saw the origin of this new Ant-Man. We saw his journey. We didn't see Brie at all learning to use her powers, being overwhelmed by them, trying to deal with life after them. And I know she was on a new planet afterward, but still, I wanted to know her, and I don't feel like we got that well-rounded arc of her character. I never felt this emotional punch during this movie like I wanted to. I really have come to dislike the trope where your lead character, when you first get to know her, has amnesia. It serves as such a detriment to the story, and that you can't connect to them because they don't know themselves. You can't get to know them because they don't even know themselves. And nobody wants that with the first female superhero movie we get. It would be different if I had 50 other ones. I have 2 other ones. Catwoman from a million years ago with Halle Berry, and I have Wonder Woman. That's it. None of them are Marvel. We get little glimpses of her backstory, but we don't get enough of any one of those stories that they flash back to from her past. We don't get to know her parents at all. I think that's an integral part of feeling like you know where the root of her motivations come from. We don't get to grow with her and see her struggle with anything that makes her truly vulnerable. We don't get to know her parents at all, and it seems like she had a tumultuous relationship with them and her siblings, but we don't know anything about them. We don't see her interact with them at all. That could have connected us to her in such a hard, real way. We learn about this woman that she obviously looked up to and was super important to her, like a mother figure, but we don't see them ever connect on that sort of a personal level. There's no love interest, which people are like, oh, I'm so happy there's no love interest. I don't understand what you have against a woman having a small love interest in this movie so that we can learn about her in a more vulnerable way. Every single Marvel superhero we've seen thus far has had a love interest, whether it be minor or major, like a Pepper, a Natalie Portman, Doctor Strange's Christine. Like, it's a small role in the movie, but it's there for us to learn about how this person reacts in a personal situation where they love someone. And you could play around with that relationship in so many ways, and it's the conflict there that lets you learn about them. And there was no conflict there. So we could have gotten that with her parents, we could have gotten that with a sibling, and what we have is her best friend and her best friend's daughter. But they both have such a loving relationship with her. There's no turmoil there. There's no conflict, so we don't learn anything. We don't dig deep enough there. We should learn anything about how she deals with love. So we have no groundwork to connect. I want to know what made her the person she is. It really took away from every aspect of the movie. I had a hard time laughing because I had a hard time feeling like I knew her. The next thing I watched was The Miseducation of Cameron Post, which was a Sundance Film Festival winner, I believe. It's starring Chloe Grace Moretz. This is an adaptation of a young adult novel about a lesbian girl who has a girlfriend in high school, and their parents catch them making out, and then she is sent to a conversion camp. You get such a real look of what one of these places is like, and how much hatred is instilled in the people who are sent there, and it's the whole thing is very upsetting, and you watch Chloe's character Cameron really struggle with her identity and what to do with this information that's being thrown at her. I'm gonna give it an A-. Another movie I watched this month was First Man with Ryan Gosling. First Man was another film where I felt detached from the main character. It was fascinating to see what type of machinery and science we were using in the time where we were trying to get men to the moon. But the lead character, Neil Armstrong, was super quiet and kept to himself in such an extreme way. We didn't get to know him at all, so we didn't really feel the stakes. And a lot of times we were seeing things that NASA was doing to prep for this moon landing, but it wasn't really explained what the tests were for. I don't know, I kept flashing to Interstellar and how connected and how intense that was, and comparing the two and how detached I felt in First Man, which is really sad. There were moments where you wanted the film to hurry along because you don't care enough to feel these long moments that we get to emote with it. That's how I felt. I don't know how you felt. I think that's why it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. I think they wanted it to, but we didn't get enough characterization for any of the characters to feel deeply enough about the film as a whole. I'm gonna give First Man a B-. I watched the first season of Good Girls this month on Netflix. This is with the woman from Mad Men, the woman from Parks and Rec, and what's her name from Parenthood and the Duff, and they're delightful. While this show gets a little silly and you have to suspend your disbelief sometimes, it's really fun. It's great to have on in the background while you're cooking. You don't have to pay 100% attention to know what's going on and still enjoy yourself. I'm gonna give season 1 a B+. I'm excited for season 2. To me, it feels like a goofy Breaking Bad. They stay on the lighter side, but you're dealing with the same sort of drama. I also watched Umbrella Academy this month. I was very excited for this. It was great, but it wasn't amazing for me. Everyone is raving about Umbrella Academy, and I'm over here being like, but have you watched Sex Education though? Because that was amazing. Umbrella Academy was super fun. There were just a lot of characters, and since there were so many to get through and only 13 episodes, I believe, we didn't get as much on each of them as I would have liked. I just wanted more. You know, I felt like we were just getting started by the time season 1 ended. I'm very excited for season 2. It's about this family, which I love. I love sibling dynamic stories, and they all have an ability, and now they're in their late 20s. They used to be a team to stop crime and be heroes around town together, but now they're older and they're doing their own thing, and the whole season is basically, you know, getting the Avengers back together because there is an apocalyptic event happening and they all need to work together to save the world. That's the trope we're going with. What I loved about it, and I find super charming, is it has a very Dirk Gently, quirky, weird feel to it. My mind kept being like, what does this remind me of? What does it remind me of? It reminds me of Misfits and Dirk Gently. 2 UK shows I absolutely adore. I'm gonna give the Umbrella Academy A-. And then Sex Education, you guys, is also on Netflix. This is my favorite. I love this so much. I am so attached to it. I can't wait for more. It was over before I knew it. Every episode felt like a warm hug to me. Otis, our lead character, is just my favorite little button. All the characters are great. There's young Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie's doppelganger. It's like Margot Robbie minus 10 years. They need to be in the same movie and play Margot Robbie through time. Anyway, Sex Education is amazing. It follows Otis and his mother. I love them both. I love their relationship. I love their struggles. I love their friends. I love everything about this show. When I finished, I started watching it again, and then I felt guilty for watching it again, so I haven't finished my rewatch. I only watched one episode again, but it made me feel all the warm fuzzies. It was so funny, and it was so everything, and I loved it. Highly, 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 highly recommend Sex Education. I tried to watch it and sign Tippins for books. My book again, but better, comes out May 7th, and I'm signing 7,000 of those books. You can pre-order a signed edition if you would like. Links in the description below. I was trying to sign those and watch Sex Education, but I couldn't because Sex Education, like, every shot is so beautiful and colorful and vibrant that I didn't want to miss any of it. I love the way it's directed, the production design, the costumes, everything about it is excellent. Sex Education gets an A+. Watch it. You gotta watch it. I also watched Roma this month, which is on Netflix. It's an Oscar-nominated film. It's an Oscar-winning film. It won Oscars. Written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón. The shots are so well composed and everything is so thoughtfully put together, but the story moves very slowly. It's a beautiful story, but it takes a long time to get going, and then once it does, it kind of breaks your heart. I'm gonna give this one a B+. If it moved a little faster, I think I'd give it an A-, but there were times where I was like, I'm falling asleep. I'm trying not to fall asleep, but I'm falling asleep. The other book I read this month was Water Runs Red by my friend Jenna CLARE. I'm not a huge poetry reader. I think the last full collection I read was the Shel Silverstein books. I was obsessed with those books all through my elementary school years. So it was really cool to read an entire poetry collection. I read it all in one sitting. Jenna's poetry has a narrative arc running through it, which I loved. That really kept me in it, as opposed to, I've tried to read other poetry collections throughout the years, and I find myself eventually losing interest because a lot of them aren't connected, or maybe there's like a theme running through, but I feel like I can't connect to the words after a while, but I connected so much. I felt such a deep emotional connection to Jenna's poetry and to her story arcs and to the themes running through. Not only were the poems super gripping and relatable, but the actual pages and the layout are gorgeous. I really enjoyed it. It gets a big sparkly A from me. And finally, the last movie I watched this month was How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World. I was so excited. I've been so excited about this film, and it came through so hard for me. I've been in love with Toothless since Hiccup first met him. I did a rewatch of the first and second How to Train Your Dragon movies this month, which I love. The first one will always be my favorite, but the progression of the films has been so well done. I was so emotional the last 30 minutes of this film. I went with John, and on the way out, he was like, they really stuck the landing. It was such a perfect way to describe this film. They stuck the landing. They did stick the landing so hard. They took the leap and it paid off. It was just so good. What a perfect ending to a delightful trilogy. Those are all the stories I ate this month. I'd love to hear your favorite story you ate this month, your opinions, thoughts on anything I discussed. What did you think of Captain Marvel? My name's Christine. I make videos every Tuesday. My book Again But Better is available. Pre-order in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.